Today's edition of Book Read with Steve, Life's Too Short, Pretending You're Not Religious, is going to be a little more lo-fi and handheld. I have a crazy day, but I like to record my thoughts on what I read right after I read it, so I'm going to do it right now while my brain can still hold the information. This was Chapter 8. Chapter 8, and it's called Policy is Liturgy Writ Large. And I guess the thing that I took away is that every little act we take is important, and every word we say is important, and that we can make a difference in people's lives through what we do or don't do, through what we say or what we don't say. And he talked a little bit about acts of civil defiance in the chapter, some large, some small, some on a very personal level, some on a more national or global level. It kept coming back to well, at least what I noticed, to a personal level, in personal situations where someone spoke to him or took time to speak to him, and get to know him and try to understand him, and what that does for people when they feel heard by other people. And I think we're definitely in a place right now. It feels this just, I don't know if it's just my lens of interpreting this book right now in the history and in the world that we live in right now. But it definitely feels like this is important for now. So, David Dark, I'm trying to look for a specific thing. I'm definitely distracted today, so you're getting the distracted Steve story. He opens up somewhere in the beginning of the chapter with a little story about a pastor who was sharing with him how he couldn't talk about climate change at all with his congregation, what he felt about it, because he knew that they would, hang him out to dry or go crazy because he believed that there were issues in the climate. And David, kind of judged him silently and, why aren't you speaking out, in his mind. And then another friend he talked with about that situation called him out and said, why didn't you say something to him? To basically the effect of, you were the silent prophet who wasn't speaking out. You were the one who could have said something to your friend or acknowledged it, and I know that there's a lot of areas in my life where I have blinders on, or I have inability to see a thing that I'm doing that is hurtful or inconsistent with what I say I believe. I think one of those areas, and it's come up a lot in the last couple of years for me, it's been around forever, is racial inequality. We have a lot of issues right now with, there's another example of a man who was killed by the police, it breaks my heart, and a lot of times I ask myself, what can I do? And in my mind, I am abhorred, I hate it. I hate those things that are happening to other people. But I'm not maybe taking the role of prophet and speaking out or acting or putting myself in any place where I might make someone uncomfortable or myself uncomfortable by saying something. And more, I'm feeling convicted. You know, it's the Holy Spirit. Some people would just say my conscience convicting me to speak out and act for things that I know are in situations I know are wrong, or in situations I could step forward and say something, but I haven't, and trying to navigate when and where that I should do that. So that's some of what this brought up for me. He talked a lot about true religion. The more divided we are, the less we see. I like this sentence: the more we divide, the less we see. I pictured a face with a division symbol across the eyes, and just the more we separate into I'm Christian, I don't do that, I don't talk about that, I don't hang out with whoever, the less, I don't know, that division is not good. It's not good. And I don't think that's what Jesus called people to. He was going to parties and making alcohol and distributing it. So I don't think that's the whole of his message, that we should all go out and party and drink all the time. But I think there's definitely more to the teachings of Jesus than we sometimes, for sure there's more to it than we ascribe. And I guess the ultimate point of me even reading this book is to understand more what I believe and why I believe it, which I've been saying. I feel like I say every single time. Also, a lot of what I was reading, it feels like it comes down to individual conversations a lot with people. Not that there shouldn't be standing in front of, I don't know, a group of people who are trying to harm another group of people and interceding in that way. I'll be honest, that does not excite me. But I feel like if I were in a place or a situation like that, I wonder, would I, do that? And I hope I would, to protect someone that was being harmed. Maybe even if I don't agree with them, or they're not my friends, just because it's right. Yeah. So I think I'm reading a lot of this in the context of everything that's happening here in 2020 of May, in our world, in our country, in my town. There's things I've seen in this little, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, San Dimas. There's things I've seen that shocked me, that I couldn't believe I was seeing. Like there's definitely, in the issue of racism, if you had asked me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I might have said something as ignorant as, I think most, somehow it's a whole lot better. And I don't know if it's a whole lot better. I don't know. I feel like I was pretty willfully blind to a lot of things that were going on. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm leaning into making myself uncomfortable and hearing things that aren't comfortable for me. And I've been challenged by friends. No one's come up to me and said, dude, you need to, I haven't been approached by anyone, but just seeing what they're saying and hearing different people's stories has challenged me to look at myself and the things that I have and the things that I think in an area that isn't comfortable for me to talk about. I'm a white guy who has I think I have a pretty good life, and what right do I have to jump in and say anything about anything? Well, I don't know. But I feel like I need to understand it more and to make my belief in God, in maybe what some of the Bible teaches seriously. If I'm taking that seriously, that doesn't that concept of religion and relationship with God is not based on the fact that I go to church once a week or 2 times a week or 3 times a week. Love is a verb. It's an action. True religion, I guess that's one of the things. Life's too short to pretend you're not religious, right? That's what the title is saying, that we all have our religious belief. Religion doesn't necessarily mean you believe in God. It could be anything that you place up high that is what you give authority, what defines your world and how you interact with that world. A lot of people, it's money or influence, and we all have influence in some way with someone. I am rambling, and I'm way off topic, I'm sure, from this chapter, but I do love going through this process and thinking about some things, and it's been good. I've had a little more time to think about things, a little more time in the morning when I get up than I used to have before the pandemic, so I'm thankful for that time. And I don't know how many more chapters are left here. That's it. There's really only 1 chapter left. So, and if you've been reading along with me, or you picked up the book as we're going, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too. And maybe we can all do a Zoom call and talk about it at some point, but not today. It's a busy day today. All right. Peace.